For the past 15 minutes, this watch of mine has bbeen notifying me saying your heart rate is unexpectedly high. You aren't working out. कैसे समझाऊं इसको? कैसे समझाऊं? कोई कैसे समझाएगा? Pakistan have beaten India in the take 2 of this rivalry in Asia Cup 2022. India won last Sunday. This time around, it was Pakistan's turn. Won the toss, put India into bat. India put on the board 181. Pakistan came out with a good template of their own and they won this game by 5 wickets. 1 ball to spare. Mohammad Rizwan, despite injuring his knee, batted brilliantly, and then towards the end, that finish, that flourish from the batters, it was brilliant. Pakistan winning the game by 5 wickets, equaling the score for now between India and Pakistan. Hello and welcome. You're watching Cricbuzz Live. My name is Tanay Tiwari. With me, Mr. Harsha Bhogle, Mr. Parthiv Patel. Were your watches telling you the same as well? You had that high heart rate. Utna to hua hoga.
No, why?
Nahi, it was very nervy, sir. It was such a good contest. Huh? Okay. No high heart rate.
If you say so. No, I'm just trying to play it down. No, trying to play. But in the end, it's a game.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair to say that the team that won those big moments better, I thought the sending of Nawaz was a gamble that came off.
Yeah.
It could still come down to the catch. I know the catch will be debated for a long time. You actually feel for RC because those. Yeah. I mean, how can you drop that? You can't drop that. It's just one of the things that is meant to be. I mean, you and me would have taken that. It's just meant to be.
Yeah.
I still think he bowled a pretty decent last over, but yeah, it came down to those two things. Eventually, it came down. I mean, you never see catches like that go down.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those days where, it just pops out of your hands. So
I just wonder whether he assumed he had taken the catch before he had taken it.
Probably that kind of, it gave that kind of impression for sure. Yeah. But that catch definitely turned the game around for sure.
And then as it turned out, there was a 6 and a 4 for Asif Ali that turn.
Yeah, exactly. And we've all seen Asif Ali do these things, finish games for his teams, not only in the PSL, but for Pakistan as well. And today he was right there on the money, 16 of 8. But when you've scored 181 on the board, Parthiv, you kind of fancy yourself defending it with the kind of bowlers you have, and you also had, what, 26 of the last 2 overs?
Yeah, I think that's what you usually do. I mean, 181 is definitely, that's what we spoke about it in a mid-show, that 181 is a target that India can defend. And if Pakistan bats well and Pakistan goes with their plan, they can win this game also. And see, game has gone to 19.5. That means it's been a balanced game, and that's what that is what happened last game also, India Pakistan, when 2 equal teams, or the 2 teams who they know there's a different style of playing, but when they know that the confidence of their skill, then either side the result can go either side. But yeah, 181, India could have thought that they could have got that.
It's incredible what a leveler this game is.
Yeah,
there's nothing like a game of cricket to level things. Hardik Pandya is a toast of everybody. After game 1, he's taken 3 wickets. He's had a cool clinical finish. Today gets out without a run, or once, I don't know how many, 0 or 1, whatever, concedes 44 runs. And once again, in doing so, he might have done India, well, I mean, you never do a favor with a performance like that, but would have reminded you that you cannot go into a game with Hardik Pandya as one of 5 bowlers.
That is true.
When you're one of 6, there's a lesser pressure on you. And then the odd day, Hardik will give you 4. But every time India have gone in, assuming Hardik will give you 4, there's been an issue. So, and because Pakistan played the middle overs so well, 78 in 7 overs, you couldn't get Deepak Hooda in there. So you couldn't get those 2 overs. So effectively, India were playing with 5 bowlers, which is always fraught with danger, because somebody will have a off day, right? You're human. You will have an off day.
Yeah.
So
correct.
And you prepare your team for someone's off day. When you are going with 5 bowlers, that's what Pakistan did in last game, and they suffered. Here, India had no choice. They had to play. Maybe they could have tried 1 over with Deepak Hooda in one of the middle overs. And it's all about taking wickets. It's all about thinking wickets. Even if you look at that comparisons, once again, you'll see there's only 1 wicket in middle overs, and hence the run rate also was high. And look at that, the 8, and then batsmen were set. There was no wicket between 11 to 15, and run rate was 11.80 as well. So it's all about, though you try and think that the 5th bowler will think defensively, and if he doesn't take wicket, that's fine. But if he doesn't take wickets, then there is always a problem. And with captains, and plus maybe Hardik's point of view also, when he's playing as a 5th bowler, that it is important that he doesn't feel pressure. Sometimes when there is an option, then you think differently, that okay, if I don't even if I go for a run, there is Harsha Bhogle or Ravindra
There's cushion,
Jadeja there.
yeah.
That's cushion which captain also thinks for it, and maybe here, maybe sometimes, if there is a cover for you, like if you know that your openers are batting really well, then you can get away with maybe play a 6 over. That could be maybe one of the reason where when every time there's a fifth bowler where Hardik has gone for runs.
Once again, Dubai is showing it's a very difficult ground to defend.
Yeah, correct.
There wasn't dew, but it was very hot, very difficult ground to defend. But we talked about keeping an eye on the asking rate. When you're 9, the asking rate can touch 11 very quickly. But I don't think it ever touched 11. It sort of flirted with 10.6, 10.7. But Pakistan
I think briefly for a couple of balls there, it was at 11 and then it came down.
But they never let it go past 11, which is always a sign of a good chase. Because sometimes you can say, no problem, I can score 70 of the last 6. I can score 75 of the last 6. But whenever you're chasing a large score, you can never let that asking rate go out of reach. And I thought that was the defining part of that chase. That's why Rizwan, but the pinch hitter worked today. It doesn't always work, but send in a player with nothing to lose, and he played with freedom. And I thought it was a great match for Nawaz.
But Harsha, they've devised some sort of a template. Now 90%, 90+% is their success rate chasing in T20 eyes. There's a template there. I mean,
if you look at the innings progression of Mohammad Rizwan, when they were batting first and when they're batting second. When they were batting first, he made 42 or 43. Even today, he was run a ball for a while, but the scoreboard dictated how he had to play. And so he started going for it much earlier than he normally does when he's batting first. So when Pakistan are chasing, they adapt their game. When they're batting first, they always tend to be a little short. And that's how you can see why Pakistan want to chase.
Yeah, and just scoreboard dictates your run rate, how you want to play. It's not sometimes with Rizwan, even if he wanted to play 43 ball, 44 today, he cannot. I mean, because because game wants you to.
Added pressure.
That's an added pressure. More than the pressure, it's a clarity of the game. This is how we have to play, and the strike rate 139 of an opener, and someone else can go for a 200 strike rate with Nawaz did. It helps an opener to play the way Rizwan did. So I think more than. When you have doubts, as we've always been saying, when you have doubts in T20 cricket, that forces you to play false shots. But here, scoreboard is telling you have to go by run rate of 9. There is no way you can't play defensive.
At the end of 4 overs, Rizwan is 8 of 12.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And at the end of 4 overs, Pakistan are 22 for 1. So he has no choice. And sometimes in T20 cricket, if you have no choice, then the pressure is taken away from you. You have no choice but to play. And there is the over that changes the momentum, which is the 5th over that Hardik Pandya bowls, which takes the score from 22 to, where am I on the app? But 22 to lots, okay.
But the one thing that's very evident with Pakistan, and that may be because, of course, they know what they're chasing, but it just seems like they're very much in control. Of course, maybe that's because they're winning, but every time they're chasing, they seem far more in control when they're batting first.
Yeah, because we just saw the ratio of 90%, more than 90% when they've chased down. That means they know deep down, the dressing room knows that, we've gone through a lot of situations. It's not that they've won all games hands down. They must have gone into a situation like this before. So that confidence, allows you to, if a game has drift away a bit, there are players in the dressing room thinking, yes, we've seen this situation before. We've got it controlled, just like Hardik had in last game kind of reaction. So when you know that there is belief in dressing room, then you play a certain way. You've been successful that way. And till now, either Babar or Rizwan has played the inning which team wanted to play, similarly like what Virat Kohli did. Here you had Mohammad Nawaz today. Then he played the knock that which Dinesh Karthik or Rishabh Pant or Hardik Pandya has been playing. So that makes a difference here. When we get 42 of 20, more often than not.
For them, the biggest thing for Pakistan is they've won this game and ran another game close without any contribution from Babar Azam. Which is a good thing for them because he's their number one player. I'm still not convinced he's as good at T20 as he is at 50 overs in Test cricket, where he is in a league of his own at the moment. But they won it without much of a contribution from him, which is a big thing. That over was 14 runs. I finally found out the app was 14. It was 14 and then the Bhuvi 19. Bhuvi had bowled beautifully till then, the Bhuvi 19.
19, yeah.
And there's another interesting thing. You didn't know immediately which side was a longer side. But you see, Deepak Hooda was that far inside because Bhuvi's bowled to the longer side and it's actually gone over his head.
Correct. But the one thing with Mohammad Rizwan is he just never gives up, PP. I mean, after that injury, and I want to know more about it. He just came down on that one knee. He was limping. Of course, he was down for a while. But then to bat like that, and he was converting those singles into doubles, and nothing happened.
I'm sure he must have taken a couple of painkillers for sure. And with these injuries, usually when there is you're warmed up and all of that, and especially on a games like this, Rizwan is a fighter. We saw how sometimes it's not about the what your pain is. It's about what are you thinking, and if you want to be out there, then the pain takes away from you. You just go out there and focus on the goal, and especially, I mean, we will know more tomorrow when often in these injuries, once it's gets a bit settled and stuff, the heat is gone, the rush of winning and all of that, the mind's been taken care of, then we'll know more about what's there in the injury.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they'll still be a little worried about the middle order. Khushdil 14 of 11 in a close chase. Asif Ali should have been out early, having consumed a few deliveries. They'll still be a little worried about that middle order. Fakhar Zaman completely out of sync today. So they'll still be a little worried, and it tells you why. Rizwan's a serious player, by the way. So he's a serious batsman. So 71 of 51, and I mean that 42 of 20. But look, around that Asif Ali 16 of 8 was there was a 6 and a 4, but there was a wicket earlier. So they'll still be a little worried about the middle order. But they bat very deep. So today it was Nawaz, tomorrow it could be Shadab, but they've got serious batting till number 8.
Who's your player of the game then?
For me,
is it Rizwan or is it Nawaz?
No question at all. For me, it's Nawaz. 4 overs 25 and 42 of 20. No.
Yeah, for you as well?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. Yeah. Okay, we'll see. Because we've seen once Kusal Mendes was given this man of the match despite one, I mean, of course, being 60 for 4. I think he was given 4 lifelines in that game. But Mohammad Nawaz was brilliant today. We saw him with the ball in the last game as well, PP, against India. Because, of course, you had Ravindra Jadeja to kind of neutralize his threat back then. Today he was brilliant with the ball on the money. And then with the bat, he was just fearless.
Yeah, and remember, he bowled 1 over in power play also. Where on a wicket which was not turning, which wasn't holding up, wicket wasn't tacky. That's what we say.
I think it might be the 5th over actually.
Yeah,
he got off to a flyer in the first 4 overs. He might have bowled the 5th.
Over he did. And that over I think it's gone for about 10 in first overs. I think
one of the biggest advantages of having the Cricbuzz app earlier on. Went for just 8 after the previous overs had gone for 14 and 12.
Yeah. So he took the things in control, and then India's power play was 62, and he's gone for only 8. So he bowled that brilliant over, and from then on it is very difficult. Especially they are also playing with only 5 bowlers, and someone who had to hold back, thinking they know that, and he bowled left-handed also in this game. Ravindra Jadeja took him apart in previous game. But here there was Rishabh Pant. Still he bowled that 1 over which they didn't hold him back. So I mean all credit to Mohammad Nawaz. But the way he came out and batted with so much of clarity, maybe India could have thought of there was batting only one side of the wicket, which was mid wicket. Maybe they could have thought of bowling the more googlies outside the off stump or some sort of thing. But
there is a theory that left arm spin and leg spin is the way to go against India. So.
But with the bat, the one thing that you mentioned off-air, Harsha, was he seemed unleashed. And we've spoken a lot about mindsets and approach lately. That mindset was so good to see. I mean, he just came out there, as you said, with nothing to lose. And
he must have been told, if your first ball goes up in the air, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because we've got a lot of depth in batting, he was sent out on a mission. Just doesn't matter if you get out. And if you're not afraid of getting out, then what's the pressure?
Yeah.
And obviously he has the game to do it. So as it turned out, it was a good ploy. But because he's your number 8, he's not cost you that much. If he comes off, there's only an upside. So there's over the years we've had theories on whether pinch hitter works, doesn't work. Your pinch hitter works if he doesn't start consuming balls. If he's 8 of 6 and then gets out, there's no point you sending the pinch hitter. Might as well send another batsman.
Correct.
And he wasn't sent out only because he was a lefty, because they had a batsman, Khushdil Shah, still to come as a lefty. So maybe they just said, doesn't matter if you get out. And so they took the pressure away from him.
And doing so, I think Pakistan has discovered a new batsman in their rank. Because when you do well against big games like this, so the confidence becomes much more higher than where if you don't get a chance but you win game against India, that makes a big difference. And now if Pakistan wants to send a lefty to just say take singles and just trying to get the game along, they can send Kushdil. But now if they want to play something, if their run rates are lacking behind, they can send Nawaz also. But you have to, as a team, as a captain and coach, you have to take those chances to get the player. We always say that to make a player, you have to take those risks. And today Pakistan did that. And in that, Pakistan made another player here.
True, and in that middle order now, Kushdil has scored runs in this tournament so far against Hong Kong. We've seen Asif Ali, of course, he had that chance, but after that he had some good, clean strikes. He's gotten some time out there and a lot of confidence. And then there's Nawaz. I mean, with Babar, you know he will come good at some stage. So this looks like a serious batting order.
Yeah, the question for them, once they go to Australia, is how good will that order be when they're being bounced out?
Yeah.
On today's deck,
we saw it in the last game as well.
Yeah, we saw it in the last game. That is going to be their test. How will they go if they are 20 for 2? That will be the test, but that's a test far away in the future. I thought today I was very impressed with Bishnoi.
Yeah.
Not so convinced about Chahal today, because Chahal tends to have these off days sometimes. And when he has an off day, because today, look, eventually India have gone 69. With the spinners, Pakistan went 56.
56, yeah.
So, but very impressive.
Bishnoi, yeah, he bowled really well, I thought. I mean, in that 180 chase, when you give only 26 and get a batsman like Babar out, and that too also in power play. So the kind of pace, the good thing is everyone was saying is one-dimensional. He bowls too quick, but today he was bowling a bit slow to start with. So he is showing variety what he has, and obviously he's shown a bit of a leg spin also in previous games. So it's good to see when player is progressing and then trying is not afraid to take chances also.
Yeah.
If you actually are brought up bowling just that pace, and suddenly if you are made to change, and you have that confidence of doing that against a team like Pakistan, which you are playing for the first time. You know, sometimes pressure can get better of you, but Bishnoi showed a lot of temperament and skill today.
Also, obviously, his captain likes him, because he bowled him 1 over in the power play and held him back for the 18th.
Yeah.
So obviously he's earned the captain's faith. So he was the big plus. Slight worry about Chahal. Can't keep having these off days. Just a slight worry. But you have to go in with 6. And I wonder now, going ahead, what India's game plan will be. Do you want Ashwin to play? Do you want to get another fast bowler in, to have a new fast bowler? Will Deepak Chahar be able to come in? Kuldeep Sen was a reserve bowler there. Do you want another bowler? But the truth is that because Jadeja is gone, whoever comes in has to be able to bat at 7, and that takes away your options. Otherwise, just say, okay, I'm playing Hooda, but I will get 2 overs out of him.
Yeah, that's going to be
that's something which India can think of. If you're playing Hooda, you obviously play Hooda because he's a batsman, and not because he can bowl 2 overs. But if you are looking at the bowling first option, then you have to look at a pure bowler and a bowler who can bat. And if you're trying to get not the other way, I hope not. That's not the case.
So maybe Akshar at 7.
Yeah, Akshar at 7.
No, see, at 7. No, my feeling is at 7. The difference between a batsman is not that much if you're a big finisher, but if you're giving more with the ball, then I think you're a better option at 7. So yeah, it depends whether you want to play Ashwin at 7, whether you want to play Akshar at 7.
Yeah.
But I think Akshar tends to have the big game to finish games a little bit. But if they've taken Ashwin and they've not played him so far,
so that is...
then it begs the question of why we've taken him.
Yeah, that's true. That's very interesting. But if we look at that bowling analysis again, PP, do they look at it, do Team India look at it and say, okay, it was just one off day, of course, we had to recalibrate our balance again? Or do they say there are some issues there that we need to fix before the next game?
Not really with the kind of bowling which India did. 181 match going on a last over. If that catch had been taken, India maybe would have won the game. Bishnoi would have been 4 overs for 24 for 2 or something. Yeah, it would have been a completely different story. So I don't think India will lose heart and say कि घर के सारे बदल डालूंगा. I don't think that needs to be done there. But yeah, I just feel that there is, which I've said before also, that there is no lack of talent, there is no lack of resources. India going into World Cup or going into big games, what India needs to do is find the right combination which can win you games like this. I mean that's going to be very, very important as far as my analysis are concerned. I think for Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid to find that right combination is such a key for India to find that.
That is so true, because the one time it seemed like a very good combination in the last game against Pakistan, and the moment you pick one piece out of it, it suddenly comes crashing down.
Yeah, but that's what people like Hardik Pandya and Jadeja bring to the side. No?
Absolutely.
They bring that combination for you, where they can do a little bit of both. Someone like a Jadeja today saves 7-8 runs in the field. There's a game-changing effort there. So it's very difficult. I think if Jadeja is out of the T20 World Cup, it's a big loss, because he's a proper batsman at 7. Bit like Nawaz, he can bat anywhere, but he's a better batsman. So he's a proper batsman at 7. So it's going to affect your balance. There's no doubt. They've got to then figure out who fills that balance in the side.
It depends a lot on captain to captain. You know, sometimes Virat Kohli was comfortable going with 5 bowlers. Is Rohit Sharma comfortable going with 6 bowlers? Because we saw India was penalized today for a 5th fielder as well.
Yeah.
So that's something sometimes when you have 6 bowling option, you are slightly relaxed. You know that my bowling would be, if someone's not bowling, I have cover. But if you don't have that cover, then you think a bit on your field because you don't have an option. That happened with Pakistan also. They went with 5 bowlers and then last over was 5 fielders in. This happened with India today. They went 5 bowlers. So I think that's something that's going to be important about where Rohit Sharma is comfortable with what combination on the ground, because he has to take those decisions very, very quickly, because game can drift away. The one fielder in, it's a completely different game.
Yeah. He has to. It's something Rohit Sharma has to work on. In a big game at a T20 World Cup, you're suddenly 1 or 2 overs with a fielder shot outside. It's a huge burden. So they have to learn to get their overs in time. Absolutely have to.
Yeah, with the new rule, it becomes very tough for the bowlers, because then you've got to change all of your plans with that extra fielder in. And as we saw,
I'd like to see that rule come in the IPL actually.
Yeah. Wow.
No, it will come because they didn't use it because it was going to implement here from October. So I'm sure.
We'll stop having our 4.5 hour games.
Yeah.
That is true. But let's have a look at the Super Force points table. What does this game do to that table? And what it does is it makes the next 2 games must win for India, because Pakistan have won this game. Of course, each team plays the other 3 once. So their 2 games are against Sri Lanka and Afghanistan. And that makes the road to the final just a little bit tougher, because now you've got to win both those games. No more slip-ups allowed.
I'm just looking at the net run rate. How often do 2 teams playing different matches have it identical to the 3rd decimal?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Point Sri Lanka and India. Yeah, but it's early days. Look, you assume you're going to win 2 out of your 3. You assume Pakistan are going to win 2 out of your 3. So it was always set up for an India-Pakistan final. Yeah. If Afghanistan or Sri Lanka, especially now that Sri Lanka won 1, if Sri Lanka can create an upset somewhere, then you've got a tournament on your hands. Yeah. But if India beats Sri Lanka, then I think you're pretty much certain.
Correct, which is why the next game is very crucial. Yes, it's back-to-back India games. India play their next Super 4 encounter against Sri Lanka. Now, this isn't the same Sri Lanka. This isn't the same Sri Lanka that started this tournament, Fifi. What confidence-winning wins that they have had. In the last game, they beat Afghanistan. Before that game against Bangladesh, they're brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, making a comeback is the most difficult thing to do when you were blown out of the tournament. And I'm sure the coaches and captain, they must have said, okay, we've got out for 100. It could have been a bad day for us. Let's not analyze too much into it. But once you analyze too much into it, that means you're thinking too much. But I'm sure that's what they must have spoken in the dressing room. 100 all out, just forget it like a bad dream and try and restart the tournament, and which exactly what they did. They came out with attacking mindset. They came out with not attacking on the field. They came out attacking off the field as well in press conference. With they needed support. Yeah. Everything came attacking, and they chased down 183. They're showing confidence, which is great sign for tournament. We've always been saying Sri Lanka is a team which is rebuilding, and then when you're on a rebuilding process, you want to make sure that you're winning few big games, and which they did. Before Sri Lanka-Afghanistan game, we thought that, looking at this squad, and if you look at Afghanistan squad, everyone was thinking Afghanistan was, better looking side man to man, but they went out there and Sri Lanka produced results, which is great for the tournament, which is great for Asian cricket and for Sri Lankan cricket.
Harsha, suddenly names are plenty in that squad sheet.
20 names?
Yeah.
20 names is bigger than some IPL squads.
Yeah. No, and a lot of them have now started looking very dangerous. Beat Chamika Karunaratne, beat the way Vanindu Asaranga batted. There's, of course, Kusal Mendes at the top.
Again, aside that bats late. Again, aside that bats
very
late.
Correct.
Bats till late. I don't think Karunaratne is a 4 overs bowler, but he doesn't need to be a 4 overs bowler, given that they've got Chanaka and Hasaranga batting in the top 7. So he doesn't need to be a 4 overs bowler. So and then even Asalanka can give you a little bit, but they still need to get the top order sorted. Yeah. Once they get the top order sorted, they tried Rajapaksa as a finisher that time. So if they get the top order sorted, they'll be a good side.
I think Rajapaksa can bat a bit higher.
He can,
with the kind of ability.
I thought for Punjab is making a difference batting at 3.
3, yeah.
Yeah, maybe they can batting at 6.
Yeah, someone who's in a good form, maybe with the way Shanaka bats, the kind of experience that Hasaranga has, we try and get Rajapaksa, your in-form main batsman at maybe 3, and make sure that he plays with certain run rate.
They also, because that's also because they have Gunathilaka and Asalanka batting up the order, so they have to bat Rajapaksa down. But the kind of form that he's in.
But Gunathilaka used to open the batting, didn't he? They brought him down because they like Kusal Mendes at the top of the order. But Kusal Mendes is a better player than having necessarily to bat at the top. I still think someone like a Dekwella, a free-stroking person, could make a difference, but that's their call.
Yeah, correct. This is going to be a crunch encounter because Sri Lanka are very high on confidence, and the kind of freedom in their batting is, I think, it stems from the fact that they bat very deep. The way they batted against Afghanistan as well.
The only thing is when they're playing against India, the press conferences won't be as interesting. My two bowlers are better than your. No, my two bowlers are better. No, my two bowlers are better.
World class. World class is the word.
World class. And Mahela will be switching off his phone as well. He won't be tweeting as much.
Really. But let's have a look at the Indian squad. Now, what changes do you make here? Do you make any changes at all, or do you go in with the same combination? Because combination is a big headache now.
If you want to play three fast bowlers, and Hardik as the fourth, which I think is how they will have to go in Australia, then they've got to make that change. If Avesh Khan's not going to be well enough, is he so badly off that they have to make a change? If that happens, do they call in a Kuldeep Sen, who's impressive playing in the IPL? Or do they say, no, we'll get Deepak Chahar? Because if Chahar gets his rhythm right, in much the way that we were talking about KL Rahul, if Chahar gets his rhythm right, and if Harshal Patel is not going to be fit in time, I desperately hope he is, because it's such a great story. It'll be so good for him if he gets fit. But if he is not, then I think Chahar is a better replacement, also giving you batting at 8. But is he ready enough? Does he have enough bowling behind him?
Yeah, but he bowled what, 25-30 overs and 25 overs against Zimbabwe. But we're still trying players. We're still giving games to players. And if we feel that if Deepak Chahar is the man to go in,
bring him in now, right?
Bring him in now, because that's what we are doing with KL Rahul.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
If you look at KL Rahul, he doesn't look ready at this point. He looks a player. Except today, he looked a player like he wasn't getting game time. But if you want to play Deepak Chahar, if you see him as your fourth bowler in World Cup, then just might as well just get him now. Yeah,
let him in now. Yeah,
absolutely. And I would play him in the two games against Sri Lanka and Afghanistan. Get those 8 overs in there and be ready for what follows. But if you think that Avesh Khan is not your fourth bowler in Australia, and if you're afraid that Harshal Patel may not be fit enough in time to deliver, then Chahar is your fourth bowler.
Yeah.
Then you got to play him now.
There's one thing which still surprises me that India doesn't consider Mohammad Shami into this pack. That's
an hour-long debate, at least.
At least, it's very difficult to understand sometimes. But
it's a very long discussion.
Look, if you've got a Bumrah and Arshdeep, a little bit of Bhuvi, all in the squad, then Shami doesn't need to bowl at the end.
Yeah,
Shami can bowl up front.
And he's been bowling
up front. He's giving you wickets up front.
Yeah.
But he's been bowling well at the end overs also in the last couple of years. He bowled really well again when he was playing for Punjab. He was bowling excellently with the new ball for Gujarat, and probably one of the reasons why Gujarat won IPL.
Yes.
So we've rewarded Dinesh Karthik for playing so well in IPL. He's made a comeback. So why not Mohammad Shami?
Yeah. As I said, it can be an hour-long discussion there, but if you have a look at Team India squad one last time there are also two names that are not highlighted, of course, didn't play against Pakistan, are Akshar Patel and Ravichandran Ashwin. Akshar Patel, of course, came in for Ravindra Jadeja, who's out injured, and Ravichandran Ashwin. Would you fancy playing Ravichandran Ashwin, perhaps give him a game, as you said, because if you've carried him to this point, you'd like to give him some games as well?
Much like Chahar, I'd like to say, is Ashwin in your team to Australia? If Ashwin is in your team to Australia, just see if he can bat at 7. See if the combinations are working. Because the captain also wants to know what is the best period to use him. Unless they think, look, with Ashwin, we know everything there is that needs to be known. Let's look at the others. If that's the thinking, I don't know.
Yeah, but that could be the thinking. Otherwise, you want senior players like Ashwin and Dinesh Karthik in your playing 11. You don't want them to sit out and just watch the game, because no matter how many days you are spending with the team, but if you're not spending those days on the ground, then you also how much ever experience you have, you want to have those game time. We've seen with the greats, we've seen Virat Kohli has got 70 hundreds, but he still needed that game time to gain that form. And it's same with Ashwin, same with Dinesh Karthik, same with any player in the world.
Yeah, you need.
So what do we do with Rishabh Pant? That's an interesting one.
Yeah. So
you took a call today saying, okay, we need that left-hander, let's play Rishabh Pant in. But now in the next game, do you say, oh, okay, I'm playing Akshar Patel. Suppose I've got the left-hander.
Then
what happens? Or are you going to now say, okay, Rishabh Pant, we'll give you a fair go, we'll give you 2 more games?
Yeah, but that's what it should happen. But I don't know whether they're thinking on those lines as well. Because what Rahul Bhai said in his press conference that we will try and
their best 11, right?
Best 11, and as and when required.
As and when required.
Conditions are allowing. So they were obviously the press conference was both open from both the sides. So
the lawyer in me loved that press conference. I loved it. There were such good answers. You can't pick one fault with them. I mean, he just didn't use those words. Provided that, notwithstanding. He just didn't use those words, but he meant exactly that.
Here and after, here to with all, there and after, whatever.
Absolutely, all of them. You can't pick fault in one of those answers. I mean, he's left them so.
But did he tell you what you wanted to hear? Or did he play his cards close to his chest and say, okay, I'll spend some time with you, but actually I've not told you what I actually think?
That's exactly what has happened.
Exactly what happened in the press conference.
So
exactly.
that is the reason why it is very difficult for us to predict playing 11, because sometimes you get that from press conference you get an idea about what kind of combination India is thinking or what coach is thinking, what captain is thinking. But here it was, you never know. Even today we didn't know whether Dinesh Karthik will play or Rishabh Pant will play, or say Akshar Patel will play or R. Ashwin will play.
And then Deepak Hooda.
Yeah, there was only one. Yeah. There was only one clear indication that Avesh Khan will not play today.
Yeah,
otherwise, everything, all 14 players were available.
You don't want a situation where you're going into a World Cup with insecure players.
Yep.
So they've got to figure that out.
Correct.
I think one other problem solved today. I quite liked how KL Rahul batted, I think.
Yeah.
Today. I think that is the way he has to bat. And I think we saw the batter in Virat Kohli that we know.
Yeah.
I still think in the game against Pakistan, the first one, he looked a little rusty. He was okay leg side, not so good offside. Even against Hong Kong, okay. But remember, we talked about how the balls used against Hong Kong must start being seen here.
Yeah.
And I think we saw that today with Virat. But you can't have a situation where your number 8 is being farmed in the last over.
Yeah, as happened with him and Bhuvneshwar Kumar.
Number 8 has to be able to take the strike in the 20th over.
Maybe one hit or two hit. I mean, it comes down to those two hits when you're batting at 8. It doesn't come down to, it's not a, you're not expecting him to get 30s and 40s. You're just expecting him to hit one hit out of 2 balls, 3 balls, which he faces. Boxes
ticked for Team India, but still a lot of headaches linger on. We also left you with a small headache, with the joy factor question. It always ends up all of us scratching our heads. Of course,
PPPD get it right? Didn't PPPD get it right?
Yeah, of course, like every day, and then he flexes it as well. Let's have a look at the question first, and then we let PPPD give you the answer. The joy factor question for the day was, which cricketer who has taken exactly 100 test wickets, scored his only test century the last time 2 specific full member countries played a test against each other? And the answer is PPPD?
Irfan Pathan.
Irfan Pathan. The correct answer is Irfan Pathan versus Pakistan in Bengaluru 2007. And PPPD not only answered the name right, he gave us the team, he gave us the venue, he gave us the year. What is going on?
I think Saurabh Ganguly also scored a double 100 in this game.
Now he's flexing. See, I told you. Flexes.
I'm not even looking there.
Now he'll flex. Of course, let's see.
It's 15 years since India played a test match against Pakistan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is also the time between 89 and 2004.
That was 18
2004 tour.
18 years. That was 18 years. 16 years or 18 years?
No, I think India played 89. Shrikant's team went there.
15.
And then 2004, yeah.
15 years.
15 years.
Yeah, I'm not even counting those years. I'm not in that discussion at all. But let's see who the joint winner of the joy factor question is. Of course, PPPD has won it. But Tanmay Chakrabarti, the usual suspect, Tanmay replies it.
Yeah. But he's hacked into Joy's database, right?
Tanmay is a man.
Or maybe this is just Joy there.
Under another name. Answer his own questions.
Another bot account.
Answer his own questions.
Yeah.
But what if you put a timeline and see if Joy is answering his own questions before the question goes out? You must check out the timeline, see if the answer is coming before the question.
Sometimes it is these answers like Tanmay and the others. They are so fast that it does seem like we've not even asked the question and the answer's there. They're that fast.
The Tanmay is, I'm sure he has given at least 15, 20 answers, right?
Yeah.
More than that, probably.
He's competing with you, no?
No.
He's competing.
He's better than me, for sure.
Tanmay, that is a big compliment that's coming from PPPD. Well, this is a fun day. Now, I don't want to end it, but we got to end it. Because my watch is also telling me now it's time to go to sleep.
Exact time, it's that 12 o'clock.
Perfect timing.
Time to sleep.
Time to sleep.
For the youngest or for the oldest?
For everyone.
Correct, sir. Early to bed, early to rise. Also, Mondays are...
PPPD must be so happy he's not the youngest.
Yeah, because all for a very long time.
I've always been youngest early years. I mean, always, most of the time.
Yeah, if he shaves that beard off, he'll still look the youngest.
Yeah. So I want everyone to take me seriously. That's why I don't color my beard also.
It's an off day for us tomorrow. Monday is an off day.
We get the revelations.
Yeah, Monday is an off day for us. So we'll take an off. Of course, you guys also have to take an off because it's an off on Asia Cup. Tuesday, we come back again for India versus Sri Lanka. This was great fun. India versus Pakistan. Thank you, Harsha. Thank you, Parthiv, for joining us. Thank you to all of you as well. You were with us throughout this game. We'll see you on Tuesday on Cricbuzz Live. This was Cricbuzz Live. My name is Tanay Tiwari. See you super soon.